Raise your glass to Bruce Allen. Yeah.
The Bruce Allen tribute was for our great colleague and friend Bruce Allen, who was the guitar player for the Suburbs. Started out with Beej and I, a friend of mine, Beej Cheney. We ended up living together on this ranch outside of LA and started our first band. We were called the Techno Cats then.
After Chan graduated from Cal Arts, he came back to Minnesota, and he had Beej in tow, Beej Cheney, whom I knew from high school, and they came over to Utopia House, where the Commandos lived in those days, and put it to the Commandos that we should become their rhythm section, and we said no. But we knew our friends, the Tsitsi Flies, and maybe there could be a marriage of their Hugo on drums, Bruce on guitar, and Michael Halliday on bass with Chan and Beej.
I actually took off and went out to California, and it was probably at the same time Beej and Chan were coming back. Bruce actually got me in the Suburbs because they were auditioning drummers after Chris introduced them, and Bruce kept talking about this guy that was out in California that they had played with, and he would get him to come back. And Bruce actually sent me $75 for a bus ticket to come back. And the first song we did, they just all kind of turned and looked at me and said, okay, we found our drummer. I had to pay him back for the bus ticket, by the way. He didn't just let me have that bus ticket.
We've arrived where boys run free. The ride with the skeleton family.
The rest is history.
Bruce was the riff master.
Bruce was totally original. I would listen to Bruce's riffs that he would do with the Suburbs, and I was not able to say, oh, that comes from Roxy Music, or oh, that's an Iggy riff, or whoever it would happen to be. It was whatever came out of Bruce was Bruce.
He was the type of person that he would pour his soul into everything he did, and he would just totally just sink himself into his guitar and his parts when we played live. And in the studio, he was just tireless. Nothing was good enough. I was the king of one take and I'm out of here. And Bruce would just sit and, he'd be the last one there with the engineer.
We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the big impact that Bruce had on the look of not only the Suburbs and their logo, but doing all the layouts for Twin Tone on all of our early projects. Bruce was our art director, and Bruce was the guy that did the Commandos singles.
He designed the original Twin Tone logo and posters and the artwork for a lot of Twin Tone bands, replacements in the Suburbs and things.
I'm going to say that within moments of the name The Suburbs being official, that Bruce created this logo on a napkin, and everybody's like, yeah, that's great, that's perfect. And what made the Suburbs unique and popular, that had a lot to do with it, because it made us instantly identifiable. And you'd put that logo up, anywhere on posters, on telephone poles, or in windows of record stores or magazine stores, and just people knew the Suburbs were going to be playing.
You get wrapped up in the whole machinery of radio, touring, record companies, and all that, and that just kind of, the stress of that just bummed us out. It was just it became no fun. We started having no fun. We had been together since we were 20, 18, 19, 20 years old, and now we're 30, and we've got kids, and we're married, and you start to think there's maybe something else in life than living on a bus. But in retrospect, I don't think a band should, that's like that, that's, solid like that, should ever break up.
It was about the time, and it was, these 5 oddballs got mixed together, and we made a beautiful thing happen. And, it was just a cool magic time,
There was never really an exact starting point for it all, but Bruce began to have health problems. It was getting harder and harder for him to play in the last couple of years, and Bruce would always give us a very brave face, and he was always very up for playing, but he wound up being on a medical disability and then had triple bypass surgery, so it became harder and harder. Bruce also developed cataracts, and so if you take a look at Bruce's Hello Kitty guitar now and look at the back of the neck of that guitar, Bruce had put great big pieces of tape on where the dots are on the neck, so that with his failing eyesight, he could play the gigs. That was really hard for him to do, but he wanted to play that much.
The new standards had just come back from New York, and I was talking with Bruce's daughter in the lobby of the show in New York and saying, we better hurry back home because he's pretty ill. And we got back from New York and immediately did our Christmas show at the Fitzgerald. And the next morning I woke up, I was staying downtown St. Paul, and it was our friend Chris Osgood saying, you better go say goodbye to Bruce. So I went, let me just, you see people crying on camera. You never believe it can happen.
It came up maybe even at the hospital the day that he died, that we were going to just get together and do something.
Thank you very much for coming down, supporting this event. This is all about setting up a scholarship fund in his honor. It's my great pleasure to introduce Alex Lane Allen. This is Bruce's daughter.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you all so much for being here. I know he'd be really, really happy that we're all rocking out in his honor. So, this scholarship fund will allow Minnesota students to study art and music in college. So thank you all.
Bruce loved everybody, and maybe the outpouring wouldn't have been so great had it been someone else, but Bruce touched people. He was passionate about everything, so I think it touched a lot of people when, he met a lot of people through, the years. He was 54 years old, and he touched everybody enough that they felt it was important to be a part of it, so. And that just shows the character of Bruce right there. Everybody talks about Love is the Law a lot, but I think Rattle My Bones was a big fan favorite. It was kind of an anthem. I think it sort of embodies the spirit of Bruce, you know, in musically and lyrically. It's all about connecting with the people you love, and it's about getting home and getting to heaven. And when I think of that song, I think of Bruce. We put some angel wings on Bruce's stickman, so spiritually he was there. You know, he wasn't on stage, but he was there. He was in that room that night.
Backbone connects to the neck bone connects to the head bone connects to the headphones. I dig the word of the Lord. Don't give up your blood. Accept the love the world can do without it. I feel in the stage, I feel in the stage, yeah. You keep on beating, makes it right. It's alright, it's alright.
When we got back together and we were rehearsing before the Bruce tribute, it was very emotional, you know, but it's so much fun. I'll keep playing those songs as long as I possibly can.
It proved to us, people coming to the show and stuff, that people still care about the music, and as long as people care about the music, I don't see why there isn't any reason that we can't carry on, because Bruce wouldn't want the Suburbs to die with him, I don't think. I think he'd feel better knowing that we carried on.